কিছুক্ষণের মধ্যে লাইভ শুরু হয়ে যাবে। This is we're live now, sir.
But flag off, do flag off, please.
Yes, sir, we're live now, sir.
Okay.
Do you start?
Yes, sir, you can start, sir.
Okay. Respected moderator, Dr. Muhammad Shahadat Husain Siddiquee, Professor, Department of Economics and Senior Research Fellow, BIGD, and distinguished panelists, Syed Mahbubur Rahman, Managing Director and CEO, Mutual Trust Bank, Barrister Tanjibul Alam, Head of Chamber, Tanjib Alam and Associates, Zia Ashraf, Director of International Affairs, E-Commerce Association of Bangladesh and co-founder ChaldalFahim, Mashroor, founder Bdjobs and AjkerDeal.com, Fahim Ahmed, President PathaoSyed, Yusuf Saadat, Senior Research Associate, CPD. It is my utmost pleasure to welcome you to the FE Dialogue Episode 6, themed Regulating the E-Commerce Industry, Prerequisite for Ensuring Sustainability. E-commerce has many virtues. Even in normal times, digital commerce, call it distance selling and buying, if you will, if you like, was coming into its own gradually. But in the pandemic time, it has marked an exponential spike for obvious reasons. Confined to our homes and having handy communication tools like mobile, internet, etc. E-commerce has become the order of the day, so to speak. Statistics are a sterling proof of this. In 2016, the e-market size was 5.6 billion taka worth. According to Bangladesh Competition Commission, in August 2020, the size of the market has expanded to worth 166.16 billion worth taka 166.16 billion. But in all modesty, we are at a nascent stage. Should we gear up from here, the hefty accrual of more than 160 billion, you minus the 5.6 billion, the hefty accrual of more than 160 billion taka in 5 years since 2016 can be multiplied many times. If you gear up, can be multiplied many times over. Such is the bonanza we are looking at. The 165 million population has 33% mobile internet penetration. This being on the rise, the potential multiplier effect is easily imaginable. E-commerce is being largely aligned to mobile financial services as its mode of payment, complementing each other and demonstrating the great potential to grow. The recent announcement of China smartphone maker Xiaomi of setting an e-commerce plant in Bangladesh is likely to open new doors of opportunities for the market. when sky is the limit, uh, 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 there cannot be but be some kind of a flip side to it also. And therefore on the flip side we see that some electronic cards and helping transaction have been were suspended for good reasons. Then the Commerce Ministry have to bring some amendments to the newly introduced e-commerce guidelines. Uh, According to a report by Cybercrime Awareness Foundation, more than 11.48% of the customers of the e-commerce sector were deceived last year from various e-commerce and Facebook commerce websites. The number was previously 7.44 in 2019, which now is 11.48. What are the primary reasons for increasing number of complaints one needs to delve into, and I'm sure the researchers are at it. But on the whole, it gives, this is the brighter side of it. It gives fillip to employment generation, surge to startups, a great boon to cutting off middle class, cutting off the middle class, the Faria class or whatever it is, the middlemen from the marketing operation. That is a big gain out of it, potential gain out of it. Then you have cost cutting. There are no warehouse to be needed. Personal, I'll basically use certain phrases just for the sake of painting a picture of what I feel very good about it. Personal satisfaction, timely delivery, transportation open to tracking, and like almost on a dashboard of a car, you know what's happening, about how things are moving when to delivery point. It is cost saving and time saving too. It can be an all-round beneficial kind of a multiple-headed or multifaceted benefit to the concept of commerce as such. Thank you very much. Welcome to you. Welcome to this webinar today. Thank you very much. I now hand over the mic to the moderator of the. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Editor, Financial Express, Husain Imam, for providing the in-depth background of the e-commerce. That means back and forth, and what are the potential scopes, and what are the economics of the e-commerce, and what are the backdrops and the challenges actually, despite it has the potential scopes. And welcome the distinguished fellows in the FE Dialogue, Financial Express Dialogue, episode 6. Already you have been introduced, so I should be very brief. All you know about the e-commerce is a rising industry in Bangladesh, and growth started since 2000. Still, then Bangladesh lacked widespread internet access and reliable online transactions. But in 2009, Bangladesh Bank, actually the central bank, permits online transactions, and in 2013, it also permitted the purchase and sale of goods and services online. And it actually, we had the exponential growth, despite we have the scale is not enough. We have the enough scopes to reach to the peak. And there are different forms. Just I am adding some points to the adding with the Shah Husain Imam. Just there are different forms. Actually, the current market trends, if we analyze, we can find the B2B, business to business, e-commerce, business to customers, customers to customers, and business to employees. So there are different forms that we can explore, but we know despite many potential scopes, Bangladesh is facing challenges in terms of inadequate delivery mechanism, relatively low internet penetration rate, which has been highlighted already, and lack of robust online transaction, prevalence of online fraud, and undeveloped online marketing, and lack of robust. So actually, I'm not going to, you will hear from our discussant in details. First of all, I will divide the sessions because you know that we have already 6 discussants. So I will first, for each, I will raise one question for each, then I will go back again for the second question. So for the first question, each of you will have 5 minutes so that we can end the sessions within the stipulated time, 1:30 max, max 2 hours. But already we have 17 minutes past. So first of all, I welcome Syed Mahbubur Rahman, who will speak now. He's the Managing Director and CEO of Mutual Trust Bank. I am coming to you with the questions. Actually, you know that banks is integrated with the e-commerce and integral part of the e-commerce system. So in that case, I would like to raise the question there. How can the banks assist the e-commerce industry in achieving its sustainability? Because this is the main concern in today's discussions, and how banks can protect the customers' business entities, general card users, even the account holders. And in addition, linked with these questions, actually from your experience, from the data from the banking sectors, actually how would you assess the credit requirements that arises from that sectors? Thank you. Over to you, Syed Mahbubur Rahman. Please unmute, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Shahadat, and thanks Financial Express as well for arranging this very timely webinar, I'd say. And thanks for having me. In fact, e-commerce is basically the thing now. If you look at the entire world, everybody's talking e-commerce because, especially because of the COVID, people do not want to go to any shops or any place to have their things. And especially we have seen surge in the vertical surge. We have seen in the food, in the grocery, in the health. Other areas also have seen increase, but we have seen surge in these areas as well. A few months back, a couple of months back, I was in USA and I saw my daughters doing everything, sitting at home, everything. So, and also in Bangladesh as well, this COVID has really changed the habit of people also. We have seen how people are now shopping during Eid time using e-commerce platform. But at the same time, we have also seen people's trust in e-commerce is fading away because of the recent issues with some of the e-commerce platform. We have seen that as well. Now, coming back to what you have said, that how can basically bank assist in e-commerce industry? Definitely, if you look at the overall thing, I can see that one could be as a payment facilitator and other could be as a growth partner. Banks have always been promoting e-commerce since inception, as you have rightly said, in 2009, when Bangladesh Bank began permitting online transaction using cards. And then also in 2013, when they allowed cross-border. Definitely, there is a huge role on the part of bank using cards, using wallets, also using internet banking of their own. That is how we can do it as well. Also, banks are also monitoring this transaction with an aim to grow further. And you can also see that we are also even collecting VAT for the governments as well. The transaction bank, Bangladesh Bank also imposed the banks that whatever transactions we carry out on behalf of the customers, even through e-commerce platform also, we need to collect VAT as well on behalf of the government. And banks have been using this payment system for quite a long time. We haven't seen that they have been breaking the ice for any new propositions, anything which needs to push new technology as well. Bank has been very much there. And banks are also offering cash management solutions, like for e-commerce can try improvise. That's like the suppliers management payments. Like now they have said we need to have an escrow account as well, but bank really can play a role here. Now, bank as a growth partner, if you look at it, yes, how can it help? It can help by helping the customers by giving them loans. Now, the issue is that we have seen that banks have been reluctant in terms of giving credit facilities to especially the startups. Even the MSMEs as well, banks have not been coming forward to give loans to the small companies or medium enterprises as well, because of the fact neither they do have credit history, at the same time they don't have collateral as well, because banks have some traditional way of funding this. So, but the thing is, in the recently have seen the central bank has come forward with a startup fund amount of 500 crore. At the same time, they have also said to build up a venture capital fund also, like 1% net profit has to be set aside for doing as a venture capital fund. But the issue is that you see that end of the day, the risk is on the bank. It is not the venture banks, the commercial banks in our country. We have seen the commercial banks have been coming forward, giving loans for industrial ventures as well, which is basically not a job of commercial banks. But we have been doing it, and we have been successfully doing it. But at the same time, we have also seen huge NPL also creeping up because of the fact there is funding gap as well. But at the same time, government has also, in the recent past, we have seen the digital commerce guideline has come, where e-commerce have requested trade license, VAT registration, unique business ID, and also personal retail account. And all these have basically will give some level of comfort to the bank. These were not there before. Now with these things coming in, banks will have some level of comfort in terms of giving loan to the customers. It was not there before, not in this structured form. So with these things, I think bank can also come forward. So also I think there are other things as well, like the rating, because the startup companies, they need rating because the valuation is very important. You have seen even a company is not making money, but there are a lot of investment is happening on that particular startups. So these are being rated. But if you go to the rating agencies, the standard or the qualitative ratings that we have in Bangladesh are not very reputed. There are a lot of questions as well as to the rating companies as well. So I think we also need to have reputed rating agencies who really can rate these startups. That will help in terms of bringing in startup funds. Even bank will also then might get in. The venture capital might get in as well. So I think there is also important that we have good rating agencies in Bangladesh. So that being said, I think I have answered to the questions of what Dr. Shahadat has said.
Yeah.
In the second round, I can also answer to other questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. On time. So many points actually raised. This includes COVID-19. Actually, it opens up the opportunities, how to cope with those crises and how we can accelerate the using and penetration ratio of internet using also increased during that time. And we know that bank actually work as a facilitator. So in terms of payment and also the financing. So in that case, the one thing is highlighted, actually the governance issue. So ensure the governance, we need to have a good recruiting agency. So in that case, actually that means monitoring and evaluations that need to be embedded with the systems actually, so that we can have. Now I will invite Barrister Tanjibul Alam, Head of Chamber, Tanjib Alam and Associates. I have a specific questions in case of law perspectives. You know that National Consumer Rights Protection Directorate, the primary body of legal redressal complaint against e-commerce. Actually, would you please highlight what is the capacity in terms of handling the rising number of issues actually against e-commerce entities, and what are the options they could adopt for make fine-tuning of the e-commerce website, and what should be done to empower those industries, the entity, actually, the directory. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Siddiquee, for giving me this opportunity. And I would also take this opportunity to thank Financial Express for considering me in this important dialogue. And I would try to be as brief as possible. But before I go into that, I would like to try to bust a myth about the complaining authority. As far as the law is concerned, general people think that the Adhidaptar, or for that matter, is the directorate, is the only forum where one can go for lodging the complaint. This is a myth. As far law says that it is also would not be fair for all consumer to visit and travel to Dhaka to lodge their complaint. So law says that there are certain regional offices in all the divisional headquarters, as well as the two offices in Dhaka. One is in Karan Bazar, another is in Mahakali. So apart from these divisional offices, regional offices, every district magistrate is empowered to receive complaint from any consumer. So there are as many as actually 64 districts, or if I don't know what is the current number of districts. So every district has the capacity. Every district magistrate, it means district magistrate means basically the DC, what we call Jala Prashashak. So his office is equipped, as far as law is concerned, to receive any complaint. So the consumers who wish to actually pursue their claim should not feel deterred that I need to travel to Dhaka, or for that matter, even to divisional offices or headquarters also. So that is one aspect. And then even consider that we have got as many as so many forums or so many complaining receiving authority, then whether those authorities are sufficiently equipped to receive these complaints, and not only receiving these complaints, but also handle them properly. Now, my answer to that would be, like most of the other government facilities, is an emphatic no. Now, there are lots of reasons why the answer is no, that whether the forum that has been provided under the law is sufficient, and whether these forums which are available or supposed to be receiving complaint are adequately manned or adequately equipped to handle these sort of cases. If you take a survey of all the districts, many of the districts may not even have received a single complaint. So the perception, I think, is that as far as law is concerned, we have got the tool, but the users of that tool are not even aware that they have got that tool, or sometimes we call it weapon. Even the consumers are not sufficiently aware about their own rights, that when they are mistreated by not only e-commerce, by any other trader, any person, they have actually a forum to redress their complaints. So we do not have any level of understanding or awareness on that. Second aspect is that the consumer complaint vis-a-vis e-commerce. I think we have got this one statistic which shows that there are almost more than 30,000 Facebook entrepreneurs who are using the Facebook as their platform for offering their product, along with other traditional marketplace like companies like easily Ask a Deal and so on. Now, the increase in the volume is actually natural to increase in the complaint as well. So I was not disheartened to see that the number of complaints has gone up, because number has gone up because the transaction has gone up. So transaction has gone up, so this is natural that some of the transactions would go worry, and then they would generate the complaint. But what is more worrisome is the trend that these people of this the business people or entrepreneurs are thinking that this is a quick way of making some quick bucks and then disappear, then that's a very bad news for the sector as a whole. So if we were to take care of that, then if you ask me that question, whether the government is equipped enough to handle this particular pandemic of complaint and pandemic of e-commerce sites, whether we have got sufficient, manpower to handle that, answer is also no. I had a meeting with the director of the consumer directorate, and he was telling us that there are as many as around 6,000 complaints against e-Valley alone. Now you can imagine that none of the offices of the entire country of these directorates were ready to receive so many complaints. So they are actually overwhelmed with too many complaints. And under the law, there is also a limitation period of that you have to file the complaint within 30 days of giving rise to the cause of action. And then it has to be resolved within 90 days subsequently. Now, the directorates do not have the sufficient manpower at the moment to handle so many cases, and also because every complaint has to also be investigated to determine the correctness of the complaint. So they also have set up their own process, SOP, and if you compliance with that, the amount of energy and time that is involved, the directors simply do not have that capacity. So to answer your questions very in one sentence, the director is not ready. But then if we were to actually look for solution, but I do not think that, just because, that appointing 100 more scrutiny people or 100 more people to actually receive complaint is going to solve the problem, because this complaint will continue to come. So what we should be looking at or aiming at is actually reducing the number of complaints. Now, if you look at the type of complaint that they have received, most of them are under Section 45 of the Consumer Protection Act. It says that কোনো ব্যক্তি প্রদত্ত মূল্যের বিনিময়ে প্রতিশ্রুত পণ্য বা সেবা যথাযথভাবে বিক্রয় বা সরবরাহ না করিলে তিনি অনূর্ধ্ব 1 বছর কারাদণ্ড বা অনধিক 50,000 জরিমানা প্রদানে বাধ্য থাকবেন। তার মানে it basically means that this is the only section which is applied to e-commerce. Most of the complaints are that I have deposited my money, but I have not received the goods. So, and this particular aspect alone would require a lot of effort and manpower deployment for the directorate. So, I think that would not, in the long term, can be actually seen as a solution unless these sites are actually taking care of the fact that they would be subject to prosecution, or for that matter, they would be subject to this sort of fine and penalty if they do not deliver the goods in time. So the aim should be actually not allowing this incident to happen, rather than actually deploying hundreds of people to solve the complaint. Thank you.
Thank you for highlighting the solution to address the problems. Okay, so we have come to know different points actually in regards to the directorate. Actually, there are questions from the also online platform. I will get back to you at the end of the sessions regarding this issue. So now I am inviting Mr. Zia Ashraf, Director of International Affairs, E-Commerce Association of Bangladesh. In regarding the e-commerce, I should raise the issue, that Bangladesh Bank has issued a regulations regarding e-commerce, and recently the advance payment for the e-commerce will be held in the escrow account, which was also mentioned by the Mahbubur Rahman. Yes, Mahbubur Rahman, MD of the mutual trust bank, the escrow account. So in that case, actually, do you think that is this a sustainable model for the cash delivery on market, or will it not be affected the penetrations and growth rate of the e-commerce? Actually, we want to know your opinions regarding this escrow accounts and the implications of this account. Over to you.
Assalamu alaikum Shobaike. Thank you very much for inviting me to this show, and special thanks to Financial Express. So you see, like at this point, the biggest challenge for e-commerce is to gain the trust of customers. And we all e-commerce companies that have that came into existence from 2012 and before that, we have been working restlessly for several years to actually reach that point of trust from our customers. And I think the intervention of Bangladesh Bank, along with other regulatory bodies, is a good thing that they're coming into the picture to ensure proper progress of e-commerce and other digital businesses that revolve around the e-commerce industry. At Chaldal, we deliver like in 1 hour, and the majority of the orders that we deliver are cash on delivery model. It is important for us and our customers to feel safe when they're purchasing something online, especially from an e-commerce company, and especially from a company that they, in most cases, will not know where their products are getting delivered from. Like this is a digital business, it is online, and it is, I would say, it's completely a business that is based on trust. I think businesses like Chaldal or other companies who think about long-term goals should actually align with the new policies and the new SOP that got released on 4th of June. That is all I would like to say regarding this answer right now. Thank you. Was I clear? Yeah, we can't hear you.
You are muted.
Sorry, would you like to add anything?
Right now, like I would like to wait for the next question to come and also to hear from other panelists what they would like to say.
So, thank you. So trust is an issue that you have been raised, right? So actually establishing the trust.
Trust is what all our e-commerce companies, every single company is actually wanting to build trust in the market. But obviously e-commerce companies are a little different from existing businesses. Like here, you cannot come and say, for example, you got a defective product or you did not get delivered with the product that you made an order for. You do not know at which point, where you can go and like raise your question.
That's the issue.
Have to have
that has
a
been
very
addressed by the
strong regulatory
right.
bodies to take care of that single point trust to be taken care of, to have better customer experience and to have proper existence of the e-commerce industry going forward.
So just in a simple word, if we have a look at the escrow accounts, how would you value this account?
Okay, so you see like how the escrow model will work is that when a customer will make a purchase in any online platform, the money will be secured by the bank or by the authority that Bangladesh Bank chooses to secure that transaction. So if a merchant by any chance do not deliver the product on time or by following the SOP that the Commerce Ministry has published, the bank or the regulatory authorities can have one locking system to not let the payment go through to the merchant. So that should protect the customer's interest and build better trust in the system.
Thank you. Thank you. I will come later on. Now I am inviting Mr. Fahim Mashroor, social entrepreneur, founder Bdjobs. If you have a look at the documents and online search, actually, you know that popular e-commerce websites in Bangladesh, actually headed by Bdjobs. So, and all we know about how Bdjobs play a role in this case. So, in that case, I want to know about what are the primary reasons for the current financial crisis in the e-commerce sector, and what kind of regulatory measures are necessary to solve the financial crisis. That means the challenges that few days back it raised, and all the newspapers published, and people actually got some scared and panic actually for doing such kind of business. So in that case, how it hinders and what are the measures should be undertaken. So over to you, Mr. Fahim.
ধন্যবাদ শাহাদাত ভাই। Am I allowed to speak in Bangla as well?
বলতে পারেন, no problem. I am not instructed anyway whether. Okay, so can proceed.
Okay. So আমার মনে হয় যে আপনি যে কোশ্চেনটা করেছেন, মানে I'm happy that you have actually like used the term financial crisis, because অনেকেই আমরা হয়তো যারা গত কয়েক সপ্তাহ বা কয়েক মাস ধরে পত্রপত্রিকা পড়ছি, এই ক্রাইসিসটার ব্যাপারে আমরা যেটা ব্যারিস্টার তানজিব বেশ সুন্দর করে বললো যে যে সমস্যাগুলো হচ্ছে, এটাকে অনেক ক্ষেত্রে আমরা কিন্তু ফিনান্সিয়াল ক্রাইসিস হিসেবে এখনো দেখছি না, উইচ ইজ ভেরি ইন্টারেস্টিং। বিকজ আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে এটার এনর্মাসিটি আসলে আমরা হয়তো অনেকে রিয়েলাইজ করতে পারছি না। আমি কয়েকটা উদাহরণ দিই। হ্যাঁ, আমাদের একটা মানে রাফ একটা এস্টিমেশনে অলরেডি গত 1 year 9 months to 12 months over 10,000 crore taka, I am repeating, over 10,000 crore taka have been put in by close to 1 million people. মানে প্রায় 10 লক্ষের মতো লোক, প্রায় 10,000 কোটি টাকার মতো টাকা এই ই-কমার্স কোম্পানিগুলির কাছে দিয়েছে। জাস্ট রিয়েলাইজ দ্য অ্যামাউন্ট অফ মানি। অ্যান্ড রাফ একটা হিসাবে বলা দেখা যাচ্ছে যে এর ম্যাক্সিমাম 40 থেকে 50% টাকা প্রোডাক্ট কনজিউমাররা বা হোয়াট এভার দ্য ইন্ডিভিজুয়ালস হ্যাভ পুট ইন, দে হ্যাভ গট আইদার দ্য প্রোডাক্টস অর দ্য রিফান্ড অফ দোজ মানি। দ্যাট মিনস অ্যারাউন্ড 4 থেকে 5,000 কোটি টাকার মতো কিন্তু অলরেডি টাকা আছে এই মাত্র 7-8টা কোম্পানির হাতে। Just imagine the enormity of this thing. এটা কিন্তু আসলে I am hesitant to say e-commerce. আমি গত কয়েক মাস ধরে বলে আসছি যে this is a kind of financial regulation crisis that is on us. কারণ এটা ব্যাপারটা শুধুমাত্র কয়েকটা কোম্পানি কিছু প্রোডাক্ট দিতে ডেলিভারি ডিলে করছে বা সে দিতে পারছে না, ভুল প্রোডাক্ট দিচ্ছে, ব্যাপারটা কিন্তু সেই লেভেলে না। This is almost kind of a parallel financial system that have been put in place. আমরা যেমন আমরা যারা মানে আছি এখন like late 40s, we all know about what happened in 1996 share market scamming. যে there are millions of people, young people যারা হয়তো তাদের লোন করে, অনেকে জমি জমা বিক্রি করে, তাদের স্থাবর অস্থাবর সম্পদ বিক্রি করে, they put in money in different stocks just to get rich over time very soon. সেই সেম ঘটনাটা কিন্তু ঘটছে। এবং হোয়াট ইজ ইন্টারেস্টিং, আপনারা গত কয়েকদিনে পেপারে দেখবেন there are মানে ইয়াং পিপল, একেবারে মধ্যবিত্ত ফ্যামিলির 20-22 বছরের ছেলেপেলে, তারা বলছে যে আমি 15 লাখ টাকা এই কোম্পানিতে ইনভেস্ট করেছি, আমি 20 লাখ টাকা এই কোম্পানিতে ইনভেস্ট করেছি, and now I don't know when I am going to get my money back. They don't use the term that I have purchased something from this e-commerce site or that e-commerce site. They mention that I have invested this amount of money. এবং এই টাকাটা এরকম না যে 1-2 হাজার টাকা দিয়ে আমি একটা শার্ট কিনলাম, প্যান্ট কিনলাম। তার ব্যাপারটা অলমোস্ট কাইন্ড অফ আমি 50টা বাইক কেনার জন্য আমি 20 লাখ টাকা দিয়েছি, ব্যাপারটা এরকম। এবং এসে 50টা বাইক কেন কিনছে? 50টা বাইক কিনছে যাতে সে এটা 50% কম দামে পায় এবং সেটাকে সে আবার মার্কেটে বিক্রি করবে। মানে ওয়ান কাইন্ড অফ লাইক as if they are actually investing in shares of any particular company, যেটা দাম ডবল হবে এবং they can get rich in, তাদের মানি ডবল হয়ে যাবে in 3 to 6 months. So this is the kind of মানে scale we are actually talking about. This is not e-commerce. আমরা যেভাবে ই কমার্স বিভিন্ন কান্ট্রিতে আমাদের আশেপাশের কান্ট্রিতে বা ওয়েস্টার্ন কান্ট্রি দেখে আসছি, দিস ইজ নট ই কমার্স, দিস ইজ এ পিওর অ্যান্ড সিম্পল ইনভেস্টমেন্ট থিং দ্যাট ইজ হ্যাপেনিং। এবং আনফর্চুনেটলি এটা আমাদের সবার চোখের সামনে হয়েছে, এবং এটা এমন না যে গত 2 মাসে হয়েছে, এটা গত 1 বছর ধরেই হয়ে আসছে। এখানে ব্যারিস্টার তানজিব আছে, ফাহিম আছে, আমরা নিজেরাও, আমার খেয়াল আছে যে আমরা বছরখানেক আগে বিভিন্ন প্রোগ্রামেও কিন্তু এই ব্যাপারটা সম্পর্কে অনেক জায়গায় রেজ করেছিলাম। আমরা আমাদের জায়গা থেকে মিনিস্ট্রি অফ কমার্স বা বিভিন্ন জায়গায় কিন্তু রেজ করছিলাম যে এক ধরনের বড় ক্রাইসিস হতে যাচ্ছে, এবং নাও হোয়াট উই আর সেইং, দ্য ক্রাইসিস অ্যাকচুয়ালি আনফোল্ডিং, এবং এখন লোকজন অনেকে রাস্তায় নেমে এসছে। বাট আমার পয়েন্ট হচ্ছে এটাকে আমরা কেন হতে দিলাম? ব্যারিস্টার তানজিব অফকোর্স বললো এই লিগাল ব্যাপার আছে, অ্যাজ এ কনজিউমার কে কোথায় যেতে পারে। কিপিং দ্যাট অলসো ইন মাইন্ড, আমার কাছে মনে হয় দিস ইজ এ ক্লাসিক ফেইলার। আমাদের রেগুলেটররা এটা দে হ্যাভ অ্যাকচুয়ালি লেট ইট হ্যাপেন। এবং এই ক্ষেত্রে অনেকে বলবে হু ইজ দ্য রেগুলেটর? অফকোর্স মিনিস্ট্রি অফ কমার্স ইজ ওয়ান অফ দ্য রেগুলেটর, or one of the, I would not say that they are a regulator, because they also have very limited scope. তারা কোনো একটা কোম্পানিকে ইনফ্যাক্ট বন্ধ করতে পারে না, হ্যাঁ, বাকি তারা কোনো একটা কোম্পানির বিরুদ্ধে ডাইরেক্ট অ্যাকশন নেওয়ার ব্যাপারেও they have probably less legal capability. Barrister Tanjib can actually say much better than me on this thing. But I think there is a financial thing happening. People are actually investing the money to any particular company, এবং সেটা এমন না যে আমি একটা প্রোডাক্ট টাকা দিচ্ছি, আমি 3 দিনের প্রোডাক্টটা পেয়ে যাচ্ছি। দে আর ইনভেস্টিং দ্য মানি ফর 6 months, 9 months, ইভেন 1 year। এবং কোম্পানিগুলোও বলছে, কোম্পানিগুলো কিন্তু লুকাচ্ছে না, কোম্পানিগুলো বলছে যে তুমি আমাকে টাকা দাও, আমি কি তোমাকে 6 মাস পরে এই টাকার দ্বিগুণ টাকার একটা চেক দিয়ে দিব। So this is nothing but a parallel banking. And আমার বাংলাদেশে ব্যাংক করতে হলে, এখানে মাহবুব ভাই আছেন, মিউচুয়াল ট্রাস্ট ব্যাংক হ্যাজ গট এ লাইসেন্স টু কালেক্ট পিপলস মানি, এবং সেটার এগেইনস্টে সে হয়তো একটা ইন্টারেস্ট রেট দেবে। But we are not, as an e-commerce company, we are not licensed to hold people's money, এবং সেই টাকার 1.5 গুণ 2 গুণ টাকা দিয়ে দিব। We are not allowed to do this business, very straightforward. অতএব এই জায়গাটাতে এই ব্যবসাটা যে কিছু কোম্পানি করছে, why didn't actually Bangladesh Bank or Central Bank intervene? We all know that last September there was a kind of investigation going on. এটা প্রায় 9 মাস আগের ঘটনা, 9 মাস নেই, ইনফ্যাক্ট 11 মাস আগের ঘটনা। And there is a company, যেটা ব্যারিস্টার তানজিব বললো, সেই কোম্পানিটার বিরুদ্ধে কিন্তু এক ধরনের ইনভেস্টিগেশন হয়েছে, প্রাইমারি ইনভেস্টিগেশন, এবং সেই কোম্পানিটার ব্যাংক অ্যাকাউন্টও 1 মান্থ তারা হোল্ড করে রেখেছে। মাই কোশ্চেন উড বি, তখন কি তারা বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংক জানতো না যে এরকম একটা ঘটনা ঘটতে যাচ্ছে, এরকম একটা রিস্কি সিচুয়েশন ঘটতে যাচ্ছে? বিকজ দ্য মডেল ইজ সেম। এখন যে মডেলে এই কোম্পানিগুলোর ক্রাইসিস তৈরি হয়েছে, গত 1 বছর আগেও the model was the same thing, that they are actually holding people's money for like indefinite amount of time. তো সেই জায়গাটাতে বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংকের উচিত ছিল তখনই এক ধরনের একটা ইন্টারভেনশন নেওয়া, because Bangladesh Bank can easily do that. Bangladesh Bank can easily say that, well, look, you can't actually hold people's money after like beyond 7 days or 15 days. But at that point of time, Bangladesh Bank কিন্তু একেবারেই মানে central bank was very reluctant to take any decisive action. And they actually passed the buck to kind of Ministry of Commerce. এবং Ministry of Commerce আমরা দেখলাম যে আলটিমেটলি বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংকে এখন আবার বলছে যে do something like escrow mechanism or whatever. So I think it is a kind of classic failure of our regulators. এবং সেই জায়গাটায় আমি যেমন ইনফর্মালি যখন বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংকের সাথে কথা বলি, বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংক they say that, well, what can we do? We are not authorized to do that thing. এটা আসলে কার আন্ডারে পড়বে? We are not sure. এটা কি যেহেতু ইনভেস্টমেন্টের কথা হচ্ছে, এবং অনেকে তারা বলে এটা তো আসলে এসিসি দেখার কথা, লাইক সিকিউরিটি এন্ড এক্সচেঞ্জ কমিশনের দেখার কথা, বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংক এটা দেখবে কিনা, বিকজ ইট ইজ অলমোস্ট কাইন্ড অফ সামথিং লাইক ইনভেস্টমেন্ট। বাট এসিসি বলবে যে না, এটা তো আমাদের দেখার কথা না, বিকজ দিস ইজ নট কাইন্ড অফ লিস্টেড কোম্পানি, এখানে তো আইপিওর কোনো ব্যাপার নাই, হোয়াট এভার। বাট আমার পয়েন্ট হচ্ছে যে দেন দেয়ার ইজ এ কাইন্ড অফ কনফিউশন, who is actually in charge, or who is going to like take care of this thing. তো আমি আসলে একটুকু বলবো যে I still think that it is a classic case of regulation failure, but probably it is still not too late. এখনো তো সময় আছে, যাতে আরো এই 10 লাখ লোক বা 5 লাখ লোক ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হয়েছে, যাতে আরো 50 লাখ লোক ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত না হয় সামনের দিনগুলোতে।
ওকে, ফাইন ভাই, আমি বলতে চাচ্ছি যে আসলে বাংলাদেশের জন্য ইন্ডাস্ট্রির ক্ষেত্রে ইন্টারনেট মানে আমরা যদি বলি এটা ওয়ান কাইন্ড অফ ট্রানজিশনের মতো, আমরা কিন্তু জাস্ট ফিউ ইয়ার্স ব্যাক আমরা শুরু করেছি 2009-13 আফটার ইফ ইউ হ্যাভ এ লুক এট দ্য ইন্টারনেট পেনিট্রেশন রেশিও, সো huge potential scope. So sometimes there might be some mistakes, from the mistakes we will learn. So in that case আমি যদি শুধু বলতে চাচ্ছি যে you have mentioned about the regulators, so e-commerce they are doing business, so in that case প্রথমত হচ্ছে যেটা সেটা হচ্ছে যে তাদের তো একটা ট্রেডমার্ক এইসব কি লাগে কিনা, যদি লাগে তাহলে সেটা আরজিএসসি সম্পৃক্ত থাকে কিনা। আরেকটা হচ্ছে যেহেতু পেমেন্ট ইজ অলসো ইনক্লুডেড এবং পেমেন্টের জন্য সেন্ট্রাল ব্যাংকের পেমেন্ট ডিপার্টমেন্ট, সো দ্যাট মিনস সেন্ট্রাল ব্যাংক ইনভলভ। ইন দ্যাট কেস অ্যানাদার স্টেক হোল্ডার হচ্ছে যে আমরা যদি রেগুলেটরি বডির পার্সপেক্টিভে বলি, সো মিনিস্ট্রি অফ কমার্স। সো ইন দ্যাট কেস আমরা ই কমার্সের ফর দ্য ই কমার্স তিনোটা এজেন্সি কি আসলে সম্পৃক্ত কিনা সেটা যদি একটু আপনার জানা মতে যদি ক্লারিফিকেশনটা একটু করেন, সেটা জাস্ট এক মিনিট।
জি আসলে আবার বলছি, অফকোর্স মানে যে কোনো ই কমার্স কোম্পানি কিন্তু ট্রেড লাইসেন্স থাকতে লাগে। হ্যাঁ, আমাদের জয়েন্ট স্টক, আমাদের লিমিটেড কোম্পানি আমাকে জয়েন্ট স্টক থেকে রেজিস্টার করতে হয়, সেগুলি কিন্তু আসলে বাংলাদেশে করা খুব ইজি। বাংলাদেশে একটা ট্রেড লাইসেন্স করে, এবং যেই কোম্পানিগুলোর কথা আমরা শুনছি সবারই কিন্তু জয়েন্ট স্টক রেজিস্ট্রেশন আছে, সবারই।
ফাহিমের উত্তরের সাথে আমি একটু অ্যাড করব, ফাহিম শেষ করলে।
ওকে
শিওর, আমি খুব সঙ্গে 1 মিনিট শেষ করছি। এবং সবারই কিন্তু আসলে পেমেন্ট গেটওয়ে এর সাথে কন্টাক্ট আছে, এভরিথিং ইজ দেয়ার। বাট মাই পয়েন্ট ইজ, দেখেন আমরা যে সবচেয়ে গত বছরের সবচেয়ে বড় মানে ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল স্ক্যাম জানি যে পিকে হালদার, তো পিকে হালদার তো সবকিছুই করেছিল। মানে পিকে হালদারের 4টা লিজিং কোম্পানি ছিল, এভরিথিং ওয়াজ আন্ডার রেজিস্ট্রেশন, আন্ডার সুপারভিশন অফ বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংক, তাই না? তারপরেও কিন্তু 10,000 কোটি টাকা কিন্তু নাই হয়ে গেছে, এবং দেয়ার আর থাউজেন্ডস অফ পিপল হুজ মানি আর অ্যাট স্টাক। রেগুলেশন যদি না থাকে, আসলে লিগাল স্ট্রাকচার দিয়ে কিন্তু আসলে এই টাইপের ক্রাইসিসটাকে আসলে অ্যাভয়েড করা যায় না।
Yeah, I wanted to add something. I think this is also another misunderstanding about among common people, that if you register a company and then if you take a trade license, then the business that you do is legal business. You see, neither registration of company nor obtaining a trade license give legality to the business that you are doing if the business itself is otherwise illegal. I mean, you cannot say that I am opening up a company to take bribes from common people, or I am opening up a company and taking a trade license to do extortion business. No. So the trade license or the company registration has nothing to do with the legality of your business. So if your business scheme itself is actually aimed at or resulting into deprivation of people's right or cheating on people, then no number of trade license, no number of registration of company is going to give you legal validity of what you are doing. So here I would say, a company like Eveli is trying to pass on the trade license and the company registration as a seal of approval from the government, that government has allowed me to do this business. This is absolutely misleading and creating confusion. Second aspect, I think this is also no less important, which is that the expectation of the consumer. What is it that we are saying that Ministry of Commerce is a regulator of e-commerce, or for that matter, is Ministry of Commerce regulator of any commerce at all? Answer is no. The ministry, when we expect some regulator, actually regulator comes only when there is this system of license for doing that business. Now, there is no requirement under any law that you need to obtain a license from the government for doing e-commerce. Like Mahbubur is a managing director of a bank. So if somebody wants to open up a bank and run a banking business, he needs to take a license from the Bangladesh Bank. So Bangladesh Bank is the regulator of that banking business. But under the law, there is no law which says that you need to take a license for doing e-commerce. Therefore, there is no regulator for e-commerce. Now, if I say that if you desire a regulator, then what we basically asking the government, please introduce a license for anybody who wants to start e-commerce. I would say that that is a really bad idea. Because if you let the control of the business or new sector, new invention to the hands of the government, that only handful of people who has got license from the government, they can only do this business, then 30,000 people, citizens who are making their living through opening up a Facebook page would be deprived of actually their own livelihood. So that is also not actually a good idea. Then when we say that, we allowed these people, delinquent people, to do their business, collect money from the general people. So who is responsible for it? I would say that there are three parties who are responsible for it. One is the greedy consumer, and we are thinking that these people are innocent. I am not allowed, or I am not inclined to give them that benefit of doubt.
Right.
These people are not at all, I would say, less intelligent. I say they personally think they are more intelligent than common people, or they are more intelligent than ours, who have been telling people that these business is not sustainable. This might sound really good, and don't believe the fact that you've got delivery of your fast order, because this is how they are hooking you to get you more money from you. They think we are morons and they are smart, right? So if somebody, so I said three people, right? So first party who is responsible for this actually is the unaware, unwary consumer. Second is the law enforcing agency. So law enforcing agency and regulator are not the same. So I'm actually trying to clarify what Fahim has said, that the regulators are not taking any step. So the government do not have any regulatory role here, because, as I said, this is not actually prohibited activity. Now, the law enforcing agency ought to take a step when they are seeing, they are not unaware that this is going to acting like a Ponzi scheme. So they ought to have taken a step under the law, and they have got ample power to do that even today. But if you approach them, if you ask
please
them,
be brief. We have to move now. If you add any more points, we will hear from you.
and the third one is the misunderstanding of the legal implications and the structure of the e-commerce by Bangladesh Bank. Bangladesh Bank thought that we have nothing to do about it, and therefore they have actually washed off their hand. I think Bangladesh Bank is mistaken there.
Okay. We are running out of time. Thank you, Tanjib bhai, for adding points with Mashroor bhai. Now I am inviting Fahim Ahmed, the President Pathao. So popular rights and all we know about it, but you know about how you are running business and how it is scaling up over the times. If we have a look at the statistics, actually already mentioned by our honorable editor, because despite some problems, actually the turnover for the e-commerce is growing up, despite the scale is too low. So huge scope to have. We have expecting potential growth in the time ahead. So in that case, actually, I would like to know, despite we are small in turnover, but growth is very high, exponential, but what could be done to capitalize on the potential of this industry in the coming years? And if you add some points on the spectrums, because you are the most experienced in this area. So in that case, spectrums of the e-commerce industry in Bangladesh, and which are the most viable ones, and any points is important for the business to grow in the time ahead. Please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Siddiquee, for your question, and thank you to Financial Express for organizing this, very timely dialogue. So as you know, and as my esteemed colleagues on this panel have mentioned, e-commerce adoption is rapidly increasing in Bangladesh. According to some statistics, there are over 100 million people connected to the internet. Over 80% of the population is below the age of 45. The purchasing power is increasing, and people are fast adopting technology to move many of their experiences online, including buying products and services. Now, during this time of the pandemic, we've also seen a faster acceleration towards that digital transformation. So that is very encouraging. You mentioned Pathao as a ride-sharing company. but we're also one of the largest e-commerce logistics service provider. We serve over 30,000 e-commerce merchants who are selling their products on Facebook. And we're delivering, and by the way, 40% of them happen to be women. And we are present in all 64 districts of the country, and we're delivering down to the last mile at these locations. And you'll be pleased to know that over 40% of these deliveries are actually outside of Dhaka. So it's not just that the e-commerce sector is growing, it's also broadening and reaching a wider scale beyond the urban areas. Now, during this time, we've also seen growth in e-commerce, as you said, from our own business. We've seen a tripling of the e-commerce logistics volume, the delivery volumes, and that points to an interesting growth and future prospect of the industry. But there are also, however, certain challenges. I'd say there are three core challenges to the scaling up of the e-commerce sector in Bangladesh. The first one is to build a robust infrastructure, because all of this is based upon a solid foundation. And what is it that you need? The infrastructure, the primary infrastructure over there is internet access, and access to affordable and reliable internet, not just any internet access, but affordable access to reliable internet. Now, unfortunately, although we've seen some statistics that there are over 100 million subscribers or not, I'm not going to get into the debate of that. The truth is that the internet quality is among the lowest in the region and lowest amongst the peer group countries. I think in a recent statistics, Bangladesh ranked 135 out of a list of, I think, 140 or so countries that were surveyed. So we cannot build a reliable e-commerce sector on top of a shaky platform where people don't have access, reliable and affordable access to the internet. So that is something that we need to improve upon. Another deficiency in the infrastructure segment is also kind of giving rise to our very existence. If you look at more developed countries, such as the United States, trillion-dollar companies such as Amazon were able to build up as a result of the existing infrastructure of distribution of logistics, right? So it wouldn't be, Amazon wouldn't be Amazon if it wasn't for the United States Postal Service. Now, unfortunately, we don't have its equivalent here, the Bangladesh Post Office. It's not a reliable delivery method. And that's the reason why many of us have come to exist, including Pathao. And what we're doing over here is essentially rebuilding an infrastructure which is meant to be a public infrastructure, and the private sector is stepping in. Now, in any country, an infrastructure is a public good, and it is usually developed by the government. And then, of course, there are private sector operators that can build up on top of this infrastructure in order to provide some value addition, right? So I think this infrastructure investment is key to the growth of the system. And as a result of this, e-commerce platforms, large e-commerce platforms, and we've got one in Bangladesh that is a subsidiary of a $700 billion company. They're building up their own logistics services. Pathao and other e-commerce logistics companies are building our own line haul capacities. We have hubs in all 64 districts. We have presence down to the last mile. So this is one of the key things that is required, is building up that infrastructure so others can plug in on top. The second thing that we need is a very strong policy environment, right? So we need policy incentives to allow the adoption of e-commerce. This includes, tax and VAT incentives that would encourage e-commerce and F-commerce entrepreneurs to sell their products online. Unfortunately, what we find in Bangladesh is, as soon as a new industry comes up, we see our tax authorities impose new tax and VAT burdens on these sectors without giving them the runway to scale up. Many of the industries that have successfully grown in the last 2 or 3 decades benefited from tax exemption, benefited from tax holidays. Even to this day, several IT services companies enjoy VAT and tax exemption, but unfortunately, e-commerce and other related services do not. So this is one area where we need a strong policy support. Similarly, I think it's not enough for us to have an enabling policy. We also need to have proper enforcement of that policy. I think my previous speakers, Barrister Tanjib and Fahim Mashroor, have talked extensively about that. And when you don't enforce existing policy, that erodes customer trust. And customer trust is key to building up the foundation for growth in the sector. And then the final one is a sustainable ecosystem. In order to build e-commerce, you need a lot of capital investment. You need to attract capital, both foreign and domestic, to building this up. You cannot finance it through short-term liabilities from customers as these things have come up. So we have to really examine why we have not been able to attract investments into startups and technology system, and we need to unblock those problems. In terms of opportunities of where the greatest promises lie, I think it's consumers who are adopting technology very, very fast. So we need to look at segments where we can move these customer behavior online, right? So transportation is one of the big sectors that has been coming up, not only with ride sharing but also with intercity transportation. That's a big area for e-commerce adoption. I think grocery, especially hyper-local delivery, is a rising sector, and we've seen a lot of growth in this sector, especially during the COVID, during the time of the pandemic. And then also a sale of other fast-moving consumer goods, fashion and apparel products, and consumer durables. These are the potential sectors. Now, when you talk about adoption, you need to start small. You need to look at the smaller ticket items that are daily use cases and then weekly use cases. So that's why we started with rides. Chaldal is doing some great work in terms of grocery, which is kind of like a weekly use cases. And as you build up this customer trust, users get comfortable with buying larger ticket items, such as a motorbike, such as a car, such as a TV or a washing machine, right? But then it's very important to ensure that we're building trust. If people are losing money, it's one thing for people to lose 100 taka here and 1,000 taka there. But if people start moving losing hundreds of thousands of taka because of scams in the e-commerce sector, that will throttle the growth of the sector in the future. So I'll pause there, and I'll look forward to contributing further when the next question comes around.
No, thank you so much. Very, very, very effective. In a sense, that important points you have raised. Actually, yes, it's growing and has a further scope to grow. But there are some problems that you have addressed. These are important. For example, you have issued the infrastructure. That means if we want to enhance the logistics, that means faster movements of the goods and services. So in that case, we need to have huge investments for the infrastructure for fast moving, right? So even the World Bank report that has been last year or 2020, for example, e-logistics. In case of Bangladesh growth, so for the sustainability of growth, now they are putting more emphasis on the e-logistics perspective. So in terms of infrastructures moving up, moves ups and downs. So that's why I'm actually working with the current projects for the e-logistics funded by the World Bank. So in that case, this has been raised also by the World Bank reports. So this is, and another issue is policy environment, which is very important. Now, we should not necessarily we should have the policy, but needs to enforcement. That means implementations of policies effectively. So in that case, if these things are okay and favorable, then we can scale up and further grow. Thank you so much for highlighting those points. Now I'm coming to the Syed Yusuf Saadat, Senior Research Associate, Center for Policy Dialogue. Actually, the point is, already we have heard many points about the e-commerce industry, and it has created a new avenue for the employment generations for the youth. However, there is no upward career mobility. So in that case, actually, how the industry could contribute to or undertake some measures for a professional upward mobility. So if you would highlight these points from your perspective, that would be great. So over to you, Yusuf Saadat, please.
Thank you, Dr. Siddiquee and financial experts for inviting me to this important dialogue. I would say that upward career mobility in e-commerce is not, at the moment, it's not a big problem, because first of all, during this pandemic, the e-commerce has generated a lot of employment, and workers, and especially young workers who lost their jobs in the traditional economy, they found new jobs in e-commerce, being working in deliveries and other things. So it's not really that it's a problem. In fact, it's a positive thing that e-commerce came in at the right time, and it created a lot of jobs for people who otherwise would have been unemployed. And I think there is some social stigma also in working as delivery men and working in doing those kinds of jobs. But I think we need to get away from that, because our culture, we are it teaches us that, this kind of job is probably not good. But to be honest, there is no difference between a delivery man and chief executive officer. Both are doing jobs. One person is doing their job, the other person is doing their job. But there is a huge difference between a delivery man and an unemployed man. Because when a person is unemployed, they're dependent on others. So it's very important that people find their own living. They can provide for their own themselves and not be a burden to others. And also, what is important is that these kinds of jobs, they often tend to be quite temporary and part-time. So they act as cushions for times during when a worker is shifting from one job to another job, or when the worker has suddenly lost their job, or for students who are studying and working at the same time. So I think these kinds of issues are there. And for those who are looking for upward mobility, I think they will find that mobility once they have worked here for some time, and they will move on to do something else. So I think there are places, like the e-commerce industry is quite huge, and there are many other roles as well. And as technology is progressing, more people are using internet in Bangladesh. I think the industry itself will grow, and there will be more roles for young people in the future. But the major problem you see is that this is something also we have emphasized quite heavily in our book on youth employment in Bangladesh, is that the major problem is the problem of digital divide. We keep on saying that there are so many people using the internet, so many people online now in Bangladesh, but actually the problem is that all of these internet users are using the internet through their mobile phones. So while you're using the internet through your mobile phone, you are extremely limited to the number of things that you can do. So as a young person, if you want to find employment, if you want to become an entrepreneur, it's quite challenging to do that using your mobile phone. So you need a computer for that. If you want to become a freelancer, you need a computer for that. If you want to develop a mobile application, you need a computer for that. So according to Bangladesh Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey conducted by BVS and UNICEF, in 2019, only 5.6% households had a computer in Bangladesh. And also, we have seen previously also in Bangladesh Computer Use Survey that most households did not have a computer. And even in the case of people who have went through schooling, they have went through 12 years of schooling, if they didn't have a computer at home, they still couldn't use a computer properly. So I think this is one issue we need to look into very closely in the coming days, because computer education and the adoption of technology is going to play a key role in the expansion of e-commerce. And if we want a successful e-commerce industry which can create employment for young people, I think the digital divide needs to be reduced significantly, and computers need to be more affordable, and we need to have a computer in each household. Otherwise, we cannot say that e-commerce will be for the young people.
Thank you. Thank you for highlighting the issue. Actually, yes, absolutely, you are right that despite COVID-19 crisis, so in that crisis, e-commerce played the role for creating the employment. So being employed rather than being unemployed, so it's a huge difference, rightly addressed. And the digital divide issue, actually, yes, we have the digital divide between male and female, between rural and urban. So there is huge scope. Not only access is not necessary, is not sufficient to have the employment until and unless you have the necessary skills. So both the first and second digital divide both could play the role. So in that case, we have the scope to provide such kind of opportunities for the youth from whom we are expecting the youth dividend. So thank you for highlighting those issues from the perspective of the youth. So youth should be skilled for future employment. Now I will turn back again to Syed Mahbubur Rahman. Yes, are you with us, please?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm coming for the second time. So as you know that mutual banks, including your banks, Mutual Trust Bank, has suspended card transactions with 10 e-commerce industry, e-commerce sites recently. So actually, what is the rationale behind such suspending the transactions with this, and actually how it is impacting the banks? Impact, rationale, and in additionally how it could be regained or back bound. So in that case, if you highlight from the three perspective actually, so rationale and how it is impacting and how it could be regained.
Thank you very
Over
much.
to
In
you.
fact,
Yes.
what is very important that you see, as a bank, our job is to protect our customers' interests. That's very, very important. And when this hue and cry was raised in the air, and we felt that it is necessary that we need to do something, what can we do? We just cannot go and stop that e-commerce platform. That's not within our purview as well. So, and we have seen that many of our customers have started talking about it. They are not getting their products, what they have asked for, and they have already paid. And there are 10 online sites as well. And we have seen, then according to what we did to protect customer interest transaction. So what we did, we just advise all the customer that we will not allow our cards to get transacted through this platform. In the process, we have protected their interest. And this is not the first time we have done that. We have in the past as well, we have stopped transactions on certain accounts that banks has done. And banks can do that as well for the good spirit of protect customers' interest. And in terms of the impact that we have had, you see, what is that? If we did not stop, what would have happened? This customer would not have got that product. And in the process, we would have seen that once you don't get product, you'll say, oh, I have not got a product, so আমি ভাই পয়সা দিতে পারবো। আমি তো প্রোডাক্টটাই পাইনি। তাহলে কি করব আমি? Then I'll not get back money because this customer, as someone is telling that what they did, তারা বলল 15টা সাইকেলের জন্য আমি কিনেছি, I have invested money. It's not like I have purchased, I have invested. But e-commerce platform is just basically you'll do purchase, not you'll invest in that. That's not an investment tool or investment platform. That's a different thing, not e-commerce platform. So what we did, we just thought that we should immediately stop it. Because this customer will come to and say, bhai, আমি পারি নাই, আমাকে waiver দেন, আমাকে interest সেই করেন, it was not within our year, আমি কিনতে গেছি, আমি পারি নাই. So that is why we thought it's better for the interest of not only for the customers as well for us. And also at the same time, you need to understand, Dr. Siddiquee, that when we give certain loan or certain things, for a certain purpose we give.
Right.
Because as a bank, when you approve certain loan, we have a specific purpose for which we give loan. So now here also we need to ensure that yes, he is using this card for buying things, and if he doesn't get it, we need to do something. That's what we did. What we did, we just stopped that transition. And now other question was that how can this e-commerce platform can regain customers' confidence? You see, already Minister of Commerce have come up with certain guidelines that what I think that they need. But as Tanjib has rightly said, these are not the things, only things which will basically help regain confidence. And এটা দিয়ে কিন্তু আসলে strict ওয়েলি কিন্তু করা যাবেও না। It doesn't necessarily আমার যদি একটা টিন থাকে, একটা যদি আমার ট্রেড লাইসেন্স হয়, এটাই কিন্তু শেষ না, এটাই কিন্তু সব শেষ না। There are certain other things as well. আমরা দেখি শুধু ব্যাংকের জন্য না, MFS যখন হয়েছে, ইন্স্যুরেন্স কোম্পানি যখন হয়, সেগুলো একটা সার্টেন গাইডলাইন হ্যাজ টু বি দেয়ার। একটা যখন আমি মার্চেন্ট ব্যাংক করি, একটা আমি যখন সিকিউরিটিজ কোম্পানি করি, there are certain capital you need to start with. There has to be some sweat. আমরা এখন যদি কিছু কিছু MFS দেখতে পাচ্ছি, it is becoming like an evil as well. I know these MFS are putting the floor income as lien and taking loan, which is not at all basically we can ask for. It's not something we need to work on that as well. It's a regular দায়িত্ব আমাদের কিছু কি বলবো আমরা. So what they need to do, they need to start to regain confidence. That is very, very important. Basically, end of the day, it is not who will win the race. It is rather who will win the trust. The e-commerce platform who will win the trust ultimately will win the race. That's very, very important. So that is important. So I would say there could be some, as I said at the beginning, there could be some rating things. So there could be some evaluation thing as well. আমরা এখনো যখন e-commerce platformে যাই, আমরা দেখি কোনো ওদের দেখি, if you look at external world, when they go for it, they look at the ratings of the particular platform.
Right.
Recently, my daughter was trying to relocate from New Haven to DC, and he was looking for some carrier, যারা নিতে পারে কিনা. So he was looking at the review. He got certain things that can be done at $2,000. and she got certain thing can be done in $5,000. Ultimately, she get the $5,000 payment kore kintu she relocate korlo. She could have done it by paying $2,500, but going to the site, she saw she didn't say any ratings, anything. So equally important. Basically, Oshop world is very, very important. At the same time, also, I think you need to invest more money on supply chain. As Fahim has said, it's very, very important. The infrastructure, that's very, very important. And also, the other thing is that what we have seen, these e-commerce platform, they are buy one, get one free, this, that, this. But if you look at banks, we have sold cards, but when we have started giving it, after we have started selling credit card back in late 90s. And these BOGOs, buy one, get one free, buy one, get two free, these have started, it's a recent phenomenon. Yeah. So what is important, you need to make the customers aware, awareness build up, training, that's more important. So by doing that, we can possibly regain customers' confidence. So that's basically, if that is all, that's what it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I need to leave, if you allow me, sir. I have another program I need to attend physically. So I need to rush.
Thank you. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much. Okay. Now I'm coming to Barrister Tanjimul Alam. So in that case, you know that Commerce Ministry has recommended that government should have to bring some amendments to the newly introduced e-commerce. So in that case, already they have published the guidelines. What I have seen in the yesterday's newspaper. Actually, what are the amendments that are necessary in addition? So from your own points of view, actually, what are the amendments that can make ensure proper operations of the e-commerce industry in Bangladesh?
Thank you again, Dr. Siddiquee. I mean, you're a PhD holder. You know, there is a, I mean, every aspect of life, you know, you cannot escape philosophy. So whatever you want to do, you end up, you know, referring to the philosophy. So the Hegel has got a philosophy about history, apart from, you know, his phenomenology. He said that as the civilization is growing, it is getting more and more difficult. So there was a point of time when we used to be hunter-gatherer, no worries about food, no worries about clothing, no worries about deodorant, no worries about shampoo and so on. Then we started our civilization with agriculture, and as the time progressed, life has become more and more difficult. Now this is where we stand now, that we started e-commerce. Civilization is growing and it is becoming more and more complex, and then we give the responsibility of, you know, cutting edge technology business to be regulated by AMLAs, who actually finish their education the moment they have finished their BCS exam. So it's actually there's a concept called cultural lag, you know, in terms of technology and culture, or your knowledge and the cutting edge knowledge. So when Ministry of Commerce had to actually undertake this, I would say, you know, thankless job, that the Ministry of Commerce was under a tremendous pressure, do something about it, and they had to come up with a SOP within a very short time. So they could not apply their mind, they could not consult the right kind of people that could actually advise them, and so this is the result of a product that of an industry about which you have no knowledge, and you are asked to frame regulation for it. Now, if you ask me that what are the good thing about it, what are the reforms that we need to have, I said that, you know, this SOP was basically eyewash in a sense to cater for the immediate situation. But if you were to follow this SOP, then there is no future for e-commerce in Bangladesh. Because if you are to follow this procedure, then there is no scope for growth. And particularly most important part is that it is saying that e-commerce, you would not get the money unless you deliver the goods. So as if the Ministry of Commerce is assuming that delivery would secure the payment. So, and they are making a lot of assumption about which actually those assumptions are fundamentally incorrect. So if your assumptions are incorrect, then like you do in algebra, and the formula is incorrect, the result is wrong. So this particular, I am not hopeful about this particular piece of document. What I would suggest that we should give ourselves more time to reflect and decide on what is the future that we are looking at. That is one aspect, and then also decide or prepare the regulations where it will be a combination of a risk factor as well as growth factor. I mean, if you want to eliminate risk, don't go. I mean, I'll just to give you an analogy that if you do not want to take the risk of facing a traffic accident, then do not go out of your home. You eliminate the risk entirely. So if you are saying that the e-commerce are having trouble with the delivery, and therefore we say that no money without delivery, but that is not how rest of the world is actually catering for the e-commerce business. That is one aspect. Second aspect is that you are talking about only this sort of delivery, but there are so many 100 types of e-commerce business, and they even seems to me the Ministry of Commerce people who were actually framing this SOP were not even aware of the fact that there are as many as 100 types of e-commerce business that are now you are seeking to regulate. I'll just give you one example. They are saying that e-commerce means delivery of goods. So it means you are oblivious of the fact that e-commerce, the most used e-commerce is delivery of food, not goods. So, I would say that Mahbubur had just said about the rating system. I think this is also very important, that people should know what are the e-commerce site that you can actually rely on. And, also prepare a system that if your rating is at certain level, then you can actually offer your goods even by taking money, or 50% of your sale volume can be actually before exemption from the this so-called escrow account. I mean, I'm not aware of any other country which has actually adopted this method, because it is inhibiting against the whole concept of e-commerce, because it's it's going to kill the industry itself. And then talking about when you are required to comply with this, then there is a saying in Bangla, that labher gur piprai khai. I mean, if you are to do your business profitably, then this kind of compliance would add to the cost of doing business, and eventually you will actually lose the entire business or kill the entire sector. So what I would call upon, instead of giving you a specific example that this rule should be changed, that rule should be changed, I would say that this entire rule should be replaced with a new rule which will take care of the risk factor and also cater for the growth. And how do you ensure this? There are a lot of permutation and combination that we can actually think of. The industry players are there. They could also make a lot of suggestions to it. But from a legal perspective, I would say that if you were to build the trust in it, the first thing is that actually, building that trust, the reliability, and reliability has to come from the service provider, and then set the example by enforcing provision of law. We have not been able to stop the e-Valley website yet. And people are thinking that if you are too big to fail, then government will come to rescue you. So we need to actually set this example for the industry, so that in future, this sort of mushroom e-commerce side would not be actually surfacing and taking money from the people. So these are the enforcement of law, as I think is the #1 priority at the moment, to build the trust. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have raised many points, actually. Yes, civilization also changes and many things arises at the in line with that. So and race factor and growth factor, which has been highlighted. So it's important to consider this, and rating system could play an important role for the growth, because people can know.
I mean, if you look at Bangladesh Bank has recently actually published a rate of banks and financial institutions.
Right.
So it's a late start. I think we can replicate that for other sectors as well.
So this could be an initiation, right? Bangladesh Bank could introduce this. We hope so. So thank you for highlighting the important and critical issues for the exploration of this sector. So now, Ashraf bhaiyer kache ami ফিরে আসছি already many discussants have already raised the issue about the infrastructure, because it depends on infrastructure. If we want to know growth from the sector, there are different factors actually that could contribute for the e-commerce. So one of the important factors is infrastructure. So and there are many other issues already knows, because for the e-commerce industry there is no scope for a startup, even tax exemptions. Many points have been raised. So actually for the further explorations and advancement of this e-commerce industry, many measures actually we need to undertake, because as we are being globalized in terms of digitization, so there is no way to escape it. We have to adopt it, we have to accept it, and we have to apply it, and we have to create enabling environment for further expansion of the e-commerce industry in Bangladesh. So Zia bhai, this would be great if you would highlight what could be done for the infrastructural development for the e-commerce industry to ensure it from the sustainability perspective, and actually how would we increase the penetration of the e-commerce industry in the long term. So please.
Okay.
Yeah,
Long question. So you see, for the infrastructural development, like at this moment, you see that there are a lot of high-tech parks and from which we can do offices. But you see, like a majority or a very big problem behind the scene is that we also need proper warehousing to manage and take care of our products and deliveries. So you see, there are no special marked zones across the country where we can build e-commerce warehousing or warehouses. Now you can say that, okay, there is Bangladesh Post Office and we can use their services to deliver e-commerce orders. But you see, like we need more customization. We need more customized solution for our e-commerce companies, because we are all startups and trying out new and different innovative ideas. Like, say, for example, if I want to store or send potatoes from one city to another city, probably I could use the railway system or use the post office system. But where can I give the potato? How will I hand it over? Like, what kind of procedures like Bangladesh Post Office has to follow to make those things, to keep potato accurately. So those kind of inputs and infrastructural development we need for all our e-commerce companies. And also I would like to mention cold storage chains, because the way they used to operate before, like from Chaldal, I can say the way they used to operate before, it's not similar how we operate. Like probably the previous system was you take 20 tons of certain good and give it to them for like 5 months. But for an e-commerce company, this is more robust. Like probably every 2 days, you need to do some kind of movement inside the cold storage. So this kind of infrastructural development we urgently need to support all the e-commerce companies. It's just like building roads from city to city. And regarding the sustainability, see, there was a before pandemic, we had to do a lot of marketing to tell people how to operate and use our websites and how to get benefits out of it. So you see, the main objective here was marketing. So right now, after pandemic, a lot of people know how to use these services, but they cannot rely on those services. So to bring in reliability, I think government should focus and give more ads and informative ads in TVs telling how to purchase in e-commerce companies. Why is it safer? Why is it more improved? I mean, how it changes your life. This kind of information should be communicated on the TV to to ensure the future sustainability of the e-commerce companies and allow people to learn faster how to use e-commerce to make their lives better. So these are some of the things I think we should focus on right now.
Thank you, Zia bhai. Actually, when we say about the infrastructure, basically we want to know about the digital infrastructure as well as the roads, highway, warehousing, and cold storage. So including all this. So inclusiveness of the e-commerce industry, inclusiveness of infrastructure. So this is very important. Actually, when it grows, that means e-commerce will grow. That if it grows for a longer time, that means we could say, yes, it is sustainable. So actually, from the inclusiveness perspective, so infrastructure inclusiveness is very important for the sustainability of the e-commerce industry in Bangladesh. So now I am coming to the Fahim Mashroor bhai, please. You know that if we have a look at the statistics from the different about the deceptions regarding the e-commerce platforms, for example, last year it was 11.5% e-commerce sector was deceived, customers sector was deceived last year, and previously it was 7.44 in 2019. Actually, could you please tell us from your own perspectives or experiences or from any literature that you have grasped from your own perspective, what are the primary reasons for the increasing number of such kind of complaints or deceptions? If you highlight few points in this regard. Yes, I'm clear, very clear. Yes.
আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে মানে যেটা 11% ডিসেপশনের কথা বলা হচ্ছে, অফকোর্স আমাদের গত কয়েক সপ্তাহ বা গত কয়েক মাসের লাইক মিডিয়া লাইক নয়েজ দিয়ে আমরা বুঝতে পারি আসলে এটা আসলে আরো হয়তো বেশি ইন টার্মস অফ ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল ভ্যালু ইট ইজ মাচ হায়ার, হয়তো ইন টার্মস অফ number of transactions or number of customers probably much lower, but in terms of value, যেটা আমি একটু আগে বললাম যে almost kind of 5,000 to 6,000 টাকা is already kind of stuck. That is a big amount. তো সেটা একটা ব্যাপার। আমি শুধু আসলে এই পার্সপেক্টিভটাতে আমি আবারও মানে রিপিট করব হয়তো। I fully agree with Barrister Tanjib that মানে we don't need regulation. I mean, of course, e-commerce is a kind of nascent industry, and the more type of regulation there are, and it will actually make life difficult for all of us. And I also agree with Barrister Tanjib that the Ministry of Commerce যে গাইডলাইনটা করা হয়েছে বা বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংকের PhD যে মানে অ্যাডভান্স পেমেন্টের জন্য যেটা করেছে, it is all like of course in a normal situation মানে we should be very kind of মানে concerned about this thing because it is going to create lot of our operational hassle, it will actually kill lot of our innovation. But এই পার্সপেক্টিভে আমি আসলে মনে করি মানে I don't think, of course, like regulator আমরা চাই না রেগুলেটর, কিন্তু যখন আসলে এমন একটা ব্যবসা হয় আমি আবার বলি যেই জিনিসটা হচ্ছে this is not e-commerce for me. Frankly, this is not e-commerce for me. I think it is basically a parallel banking. আমি আবারও বলছি this is a parallel banking and Bangladesh Bank or Central Bank should step in. But how our law enforcing agencies can actually get in, that is of course like a decision or suggestion the legal community can give like by Tanjib. But I think Bangladesh Bank or Central Bank has a role to play. যখন দেখা যাচ্ছে যে there are few companies তারা হয়তো নিজেদের e-commerce বলছে কিন্তু they are actually essentially what they are doing, they are actually taking a huge amount of money, crores of taka, and they are just kind of holding money and they are actually giving promise to the depositors or kind of so-called investors that you will get money higher than what you have actually deposited. You will be surprised to know that অনেক ক্ষেত্রে কিন্তু কাস্টমাররা বলে ভাই আমাকে প্রোডাক্ট দেন না, এইসব কোম্পানিকে বলে আমাকে প্রোডাক্ট দেন না, আমাকে চেক দেন। হ্যাঁ, এবং চেক কিন্তু এমনও চায় না যে সে ঠিক আছে আপনি আমাকে যা দিছি তাই দেন, বলে আমাকে প্রফিট সহ দিয়ে। ইট ইজ বেসিক্যালি এ কাইন্ড অফ লাইক আবার বলি some kind of share market type of investment game it has become. এটাকে আমি একেবারে ই-কমার্স বলতে রাজি না। ইন দ্যাট কেস দেয়ার যেহেতু বাংলাদেশে এরকম কারো যদি টাকা হোল্ড করে রাখতে হয় সেটার জন্য একটা লাইসেন্স প্রয়োজন, সেই জন্য লাইসেন্স অফকোর্স the central bank is the proper like agency for that thing, and এটা কিছু রেগুলেশনের মধ্যে দিয়ে আসতে হবে, let them go through that regulation. But these companies are not doing e-commerce business. So, but the proper e-commerce business, I completely agree with Mr. Tanjib that it should be out of regulation as much as possible. There can be guideline. যেটা আমরা ইন্ডিয়াতে দেখেছি যে রিসেন্টলি ইন্ডিয়ান গভর্নমেন্ট মিনিস্ট্রি অফ কমার্স ইন ইন্ডিয়া দে আর অলসো গিভিং সাম রুলস, যেখানে আসলে ইভেন ফরেন কোম্পানিগুলো কিভাবে কাজ করবে, লোকাল ভেন্ডাররা কিভাবে কাজ করবে, দেয়ার আর সাম রুলস অর গাইডলাইন্স দ্যাট ক্যান বি দেয়ার। বাট একেবারে খুব স্ট্রিক্ট রেগুলেশন করে মানে এই ব্যবসার অপরচুনিটিকে আসলে মানে এফেক্ট করা, অফকোর্স নান অফ আস অ্যাকচুয়ালি ওয়ান্ট দ্যাট। তো সেই রেসপেক্টে আমি বলবো, আপনার কোশ্চেন যেহেতু ছিল যে ডিসিপশনের ব্যাপারে, আমি মনে করি যে ডিসিপশন যদি আমরা মেইন স্ট্রিম ই-কমার্স বলি, বাংলাদেশে যে এই 3-4 হাজার ছোট ছোট কমার্স কোম্পানি, ছোট ছোট ফেসবুক ব্যবসা, দে আর নট ইনভলভ ইন দিস ডিসিপশন। হ্যাঁ, একেবারে যে হয় না তা না, ম্যাক্সিমাম হয়তো 4-5% ক্ষেত্রে, জেনারেলি কমার্সের ক্ষেত্রে হয়তো কাস্টমাররা দে মাইট বি কাইন্ড অফ এফেক্টেড, বাট mainstream e-commerce don't deceive people. There are few kind of Ponzi scheme companies who are actually taking money.
Thank you, Fahim bhai. Got the point. Actually, আপনার যে কথা সেই অনুযায়ী বুঝতে পারছি যে ই-কমার্সের যে ডেফিনেশন, আসলে what should be the e-commerce and functional activities that are not aligned with the definition of the e-commerce. So there are some deviations and that need to be streamlined by using the strict rules and regulations that could be by the authorities. So in that case, এখন যেটা হচ্ছে সেটা one kind of like the share market and stock, investing in a stock market, I am investing this amount of money and they are promising they will give higher returns within the shortest possible time. So this is the nature. So this needs to be refrained as per your opinion. So we are about to finish within 20 minutes. So I'm just coming to Fahim Ahmed. But please, I have a question or queries regarding the risk, how we can actually startup issue. I want to highlight the startup issues for the expansions. What are the measures that need to be taken or highlighted the issue of startup and so that they could enter into the markets. And in actually for the Bangladesh, you know that some of the e-commerce industries have a large debt to equity ratio. Various e-commerce industries actually. So do you think debt to equity ratio is manageable in the long run, or is this practice unsustainable towards building a successful startup? So what's your opinion regarding this?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you for that. So as you know, building an e-commerce platform requires a substantial amount of capital. You need the capital for developing the technology and the product, to set up the infrastructure as we had talked about, and yes, also for customer acquisition. Now, customer acquisition often takes the form of offering attractive discounts to customers, to new users in order to onboard them, to change their user behavior, to make them transact more and more frequently onto the platform, as well as spend larger amounts of money on the platform. So that is not an uncommon practice in the early stage of any industry, and e-commerce is no different in this regard. What is important over here is how is that capital sourced? Where does that capital come from for that growth? Now, globally, e-commerce platform, in order to scale the growth of the user base, do so by raising long-term investment, long-term capital. And who are providing this capital? It's sophisticated investor, VC funds, institutional investors, strategic investors, all of whom who have a strong balance sheet. They're well aware of both the risks and the opportunities, and they're going in with a long-term horizon with the risks fully in view. Now, unfortunately, the e-commerce platforms in question over here in Bangladesh have not raised any significant amount of capital, whether from home or from abroad, right? So how then are they funding this growth, right? So there can only be three sources, right? Number one, you are doing this by capital raise and they have not raised capital. Second, you fund this growth from your suppliers. Either your suppliers are providing to you a credit, or they're giving you substantial amounts of discounts, which you are then passing on to your customers, right? Now, is that the case over here? No, unfortunately, because what are the most common products that are being sold? Motorbikes and other consumer appliances. Now, these goods have very low margin, usually 10%, maybe 20%, because many of these are distributors. They themselves don't have very high margins. So how can the manufacturers or the distributors afford to give 50% discounts? They can't. So, so then we get to the third option, which is these discounts are in fact being funded by working capital from the customers, right? So the customers are paying in advance and you're rolling those funds in order to give the discounts. Now, the problem is, let's say in a situation where you're raising capital from investors, let's say you're selling 3 products, each are valued at 100 taka and you're selling it at a 50% discount. So 50 taka each, so 150 taka you need as an investment. Now, in this scenario, you're selling one product for 50 taka. Now, in order to pay back your supplier, you need to sell another product. And this time around, you have to offer even greater discount to the customer. So you offer a 60 taka discount, and the next time around, you offer a 70 taka discount. So this is how, in order to pay off your first customer and your first supplier, you have to increase your debt to your customers more and more. So the quantum of that debt is very substantial. As Fahim said, it's potentially 4,000, 5,000 crore taka. That's like $5 or $6 billion. Right? And also importantly, who is that debt to? Right? It is not to large investors, to institutions. It's not even to large suppliers. It is to those 1 million people who are customers who bought it in order to get a discount or maybe to resell the product. So they have begged, borrowed, and sold off their property in order to mobilize this capital. So this has created a very unsustainable and vicious cycle. This is a Ponzi scheme. This is no different from multi-level marketing and various other fraudulent schemes that we have seen in the past. And this plays upon the greed of the people. And Barrister Tanjib is 100% right. I think the people who perpetrated this scam are responsible, but equally the people who participate in that scam, the customers, are also responsible because they know exactly what's going on. They know that this is fraud. They know they're staying mum, staying shut, because there's a saying that goes, if you can't find the idiot in the room, you're the idiot in the room. Right? So they think that they're smart enough to get away with it while someone else will be stuck with that debt. So this is in no way a sustainable mechanism to build an industry, build a sector. So we need to take drastic action. There is no such notion as too big to fail. I think if we let this perpetrate, if we let this continue, then there would be a sense of permissiveness, a sense of lawlessness that would encourage existing platforms to to be even more and more aggressive with the level of the scam, and also encourage other people from coming in, into coming in and participating in this scam. So we need to stop this immediately. We need to seize the bank accounts of these platforms and the principles in question, and we have to put an immediate end to such fraudulent activity in order to build back better.
Thank you so much. We are about to finish. We have 13 minutes, and just I will raise the last question, and then there are some few points. Whoever is appropriate, I will come to you. I'm coming to say, Yusuf, Shahadat, please. That a huge amount of credit by taking advanced product from the vendors and advanced payment from the buyers. So in that case, we know that Commerce Ministry has also have some guidelines so that they can curb the malpractices. So in that, but how would you think that vendors have a choice to give credit to such commerce complaints, actually such complaints? Could you please address those issues?
Yes, thank you for the question. So basically in Bangladesh, if you look at the e-commerce industry, you'll see there are at least 4 kinds of businesses. There's one kind which is completely online. They have only a website. They have no physical stores. There's the second kind, which are actually physical brick and mortar businesses, but they're also selling online. Then the third kind is F-commerce, like they have no store, they just have a Facebook page. And fourth kind maybe is a digital platform who are like a virtual intermediary. They have no particular goods, but they're acting as an intermediary. So the problem, actually the biggest problem now is with those companies which are purely online. And also some complaints are there against the Facebook entrepreneurs, the
Yes.
F-commerce, right? So right now, if we want to address the issues, I think we need to address in the place where the problem is the greatest, and that is in the companies which are purely online. They are the big players. They're the ones who have taken a huge amount of money from the consumers, and they're the ones who are not being able to provide the goods that they are promising. And the problem is that as some of the distinguished speakers have already mentioned, these companies are taking in money, and e-commerce in Bangladesh is now turning into an investment rather than consumption. So people are buying in order to resell. So where is this opportunity for arbitrage, such huge arbitrage? Where is this opportunity coming from? In a well-functioning market, there should not be such an opportunity for arbitrage. So we have to ask ourselves, where is this coming from? And also this kind of, like one of the speakers mentioned, that parallel banking, this kind of parallel banking cannot be there at all, because in Bangladesh, even non-banking financial institutions are not allowed to take money from consumers. Only banks, only scheduled banks can take money from consumers, right? So in that case, e-commerce businesses cannot be allowed to take money from consumers and the promise of returns. And also, if there is such an arbitrage, I think we need to have some kind of a regulation that if you're offering more than a certain percentage of a discount, then you cannot sell more than one or two of that item. So if you're selling a motorcycle for 50% discount, you will sell only one motorcycle to one consumer. You cannot sell 1,000 motorcycles to one person. So that can be there. And also, I disagree, or I will go in a different way with some of the speakers and say that I think more complaints should be made. Many consumers are not aware of their rights, and they're not aware that they can place complaints with the government. There is the existing Consumer Protection Rights Act 2009, and under Section 45, you can make a case that you have the goods which were promised to you were not delivered. And I think what the government can do at this point is that they can make it mandatory for all e-commerce websites and all mobile applications to have an option where they can, the consumers can directly place the complaint within their own application or within their own website, and the complaint will go immediately that my goods were not delivered. And more consumers should place the complaints, and the consumers should be made aware that they have certain rights, and these rights need to be protected. And at this point, I think the government cannot sit back and just let all this go on. Because you see, if the government is for the people, then they have to use the law to protect the people. And e-commerce is a booming industry. Right now also, it is bringing in tax revenue for the government. In the future, it will bring in a lot of tax revenue for the government. So right now, it is important for the government to hire a lot of experts and make a task force for specifically for addressing e-commerce related issues under the Consumer Protection Rights Act.
Thank you so much. আমরা এই পর্যায়ে একটু যারা অনলাইন থেকে কয়েকটা প্রশ্ন থ্রো করেছেন, আমি সেগুলা একটু যারা অ্যাপ্লিকেবল, যারা মনে করবেন যে কমফোর্টেবল ইন এ সেন্স, অথবা আমি স্পেসিফিক্যালি বলতে পারি যে Professor, Associate Professor Shafiuddin Shimul, University of Dhaka, he raised the questions why the authorities basically he means National Consumer Right Protection Directorate. So why the authorities are not proactive? Why do they have to wait for complaints to be lodged? What does not the regulators mean then? What does not the regulators mean then? আমার মনে হয় তানজিবুল আলম, আপনি তানজিব ভাই যদি একটু বলেন, আপনি অবশ্য already you have raised relevant issues regarding the questions.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what we need to understand is that no matter how we desire somebody to be our savior, we also need to understand whether that presumed savior has the authority to actually come forward. I'm afraid the Consumer Authority do not have the capacity actually to act as the regulator or assume the responsibility of all the regulator of this e-commerce business. They have the capacity, power, and authority to start their own investigation. But if they were to act and exercise their power, there has to be a complaint. And so what they have done is that they have addressed the complaint that they have received from the consumers. So they cannot actually act on their own. They have to act upon the complaint because their power is limited to the provisions of the 2009 Act.
Thank you. সেকেন্ড একটা কোশ্চেন আসছে যে আমি মনে হয় এটা জিয়া ভাই অথবা ফাহিম আহমেদ ভাই যদি একটু অ্যাড্রেস করেন তাহলে আমি খুশি হব। আপনাদের দুজনের পয়েন্টই। বাংলাদেশ বিশ্বের কোনো অনেক শীর্ষ ই কমার্স প্রতিষ্ঠানকে কার্যক্রম শুরু করতে দেয়নি সরকার, তাহলে সরকারের নীতি নির্ধারকরা কিভাবে ভূমিকা রাখতে পারে? ওনাদের যথাযথ নীতিমালার অভাব রয়েছে কিনা কিংবা দায়ী কিনা? প্রশ্নটা যদি বুঝে থাকেন যে বিশ্বের যে অনেক শীর্ষ ই কমার্স প্রতিষ্ঠান তারা বাংলাদেশে বিজনেস করতে শুরু করেনি, সেই জন্য সরকারকে আপনারা কিভাবে অথবা নীতিমালার দিক থেকে এই বিষয়টাকে আপনারা কিভাবে দেখবেন?
বাধা নাই,
কারো তো বাধা নাই। And okay, so the thing is that, like, you know, why international players are not doing any business in Bangladesh, we don't know. Like, you know, many international companies are doing business in Bangladesh, like Microsoft, IBM, etc. So even Facebook and Google recently opened their tax file, etc. They're establishing a company in Bangladesh, right? So I don't understand why this question was raised, that why some international players are not.
পেপালের ইস্যু অথবা অন্য কোনো কিছু আছে কিনা সেভাবে যদি
No, there is like, you know, first of all, from all that I understand is that the international players, the bigger e-commerce players, are to some extent already in Bangladesh and operating in various companies as investors, etc. But there is no regulatory issues for which, like, you know, they cannot come. This is not true statement.
Fine, but if you add.
Yeah, no, I'd like to you know, add to that. I think, yes, absolutely agree that there is nothing that currently prevents international players from entering into the market. In fact, Pathao operates in ride-sharing, food delivery, and e-commerce logistics. In each of those segments, we compete directly against very large, very well-funded, and globally operating technology companies. In ride-sharing, we compete against a $100 billion company. We compete against a $20 billion company. In food delivery and in e-commerce logistics, e-commerce space is you know, occupied by a $700 billion plus company in Bangladesh, right? So now, one of the things that we should be mindful of is the importance for building a digital infrastructure that is locally owned. I think we all are stakeholders and are invested in you know, supporting the growth of the local tech ecosystem. The reason for that is you know, failing to do that would lead to digital colonization. It means that the e-commerce logistics system, it means the technology ecosystem is controlled by globally operating companies, which are profit takers. And they are using Bangladesh just for the market expansion, and rather than for technology or product development, and rather than for wealth creation. If we can create sustainable policies, which doesn't necessarily block international operators from coming in, but rather create some positive incentives for the local companies to improve their competitiveness, whether it is in terms of tax policies, whether it is giving, you know, certain kinds of in-kind and incentives to cheaper access to infrastructure, that allows local companies to grow. That means that local wealth is created. The startup founders, the employees, the ecosystem, the entire ecosystem benefits from it. Whereas from the global standpoint, all of that wealth is created outside of the country, and the supply chain being benefited is outside the country, and Bangladesh is simply seen as a market expansion, which is why it is extremely important to create policies that allow the growth of the local technology ecosystem.
Thank you so much. আমি আরেকটা প্রশ্ন নিয়ে জাস্ট লিংক যদি প্রশ্নটা করি, সেটা হচ্ছে যে আসলে আমরা গ্লোবাল যে ব্র্যান্ডগুলা দেখতে পাই, বাংলাদেশের সেই কোম্পানিগুলাকে ওই ধরনের রিলায়েবিলিটি, ট্রাস্টের জায়গাটা করার জন্য ফাহিম ভাই আপনি যদি কিছু বলেন, এবং তারপরে আপনারা দুইজন ফাহিম মাশরুর ভাইও কিছু অ্যাড করতে পারেন প্লিজ।
Sorry, can you clarify যে গ্লোবালি যেগুলো দেখতে পাই সেগুলোকে?
Yes, things like Alibaba, Amazon, many more companies, those are globally famous and reliable and trusted. So for domestic companies, just like even within our country, how can we make this company more trusted to the people, so that so this is the issue actually. What are the things we need to do, and what are the suggestions actually to bring that
Yeah, absolutely.
confidence?
I think three things. So first of all, we have to invest in the technology and in the product. Second, we have to build up the infrastructure, reliable infrastructure. And I've touched on it earlier. Even Zia has touched on the need for investing in this infrastructure in various points of the supply chain, and then acquiring customers. Now, acquiring customers require capital, so we need to inject more capital into the technology ecosystem. In the entire tech ecosystem in Bangladesh over the last decade, only $300 million of investment has been raised. Now, this is very small compared to the global capital flows that have come into other neighboring countries. For example, I often mentioned in Indonesia, which is a country that's only 3 times our size. Just one company in the tech sector has raised over $3 billion in capital in just the last 5 years. So we need more capital investment in order to facilitate this growth. I think what local companies have to be very, very, passionately focused on is to improve quality, not just on the initial user acquisition, not just on the, and discounts, but making qualitative improvements in the service delivery that will build up the customer trust and bring them back into the platform.
Thank you. So on-time delivery, so it is also important. And Fahim bhai, please, if you could add.
আমার মনে হয় যে ভিডিওটা একটা সময় নেই, আপনি যে ডিসকাশনটা শুরু করছিলেন বা এনেছেন, ইট ইজ ইটসেলফ এ বিগ একটা অনুষ্ঠান হওয়া যেতে পারে। দেয়ার ইজ অলওয়েজ এ ডাইলেমা, মানে আমরা যারা আসলে বিজনেস বা ইকোনমিক্স নিয়ে পড়াশোনা করি তারা জানি যে টু হোয়াট এক্সটেন্ট প্রোটেকশনিজম হেল্পস দ্য লোকাল এন্টারপ্রেনারশিপ এমপ্লয়মেন্ট, সেটা নিয়ে আসলে তর্ক, এটা
ইনফ্যান্ট ইন্ডাস্ট্রি আর্গুমেন্ট
চলবে। বাট আমরা বেসিক্যালি অ্যাটলিস্ট আমাদের পার্সপেক্টিভ থেকে আমরা যদি দেখি ই-কমার্স সেক্টরে ইজ এ ভেরি সাসেপ্টেবল সেক্টর। আমরা যদি ভারতের কথা ভাবি, আমরা যদি ভারতে আপনারা দেখবেন যে there were kind of the whole overall e-commerce boom was actually led by local startups like Snapdeal, Flipkart, or such companies. But at this moment, what has happened that the Indian government was very open to lot of the foreign giants, particularly companies like Amazon and others. What they have actually seen that this overall market has been actually, in a sense, colonized by some big companies like Amazon or kind of Walmart type of company. And now most of the e-commerce companies are actually currently owned by these big global companies, যেটা তো Fahim or Patha has actually alluded to. So আমার কাছে মনে হয় there needs to be balance. এখন ওইগুলিতে যেটা হয় সেইটা সমস্যা নাই, সমস্যাটা হচ্ছে those companies actually roll out the products made outside. বাংলাদেশে হয়তো উবার কাজ করছে, যেখানে পাঠাও কাজ করছে, but Uber technology is completely developed by engineers outside the country, whereas Pathao's technology is 100% developed by local engineers. That has created a lot of local jobs, whereas Uber has not created any local tech jobs. So এই জায়গাটাতে কিন্তু একটা আসলে করতে হবে। তারপরে there are companies যারা even like e-commerce companies যারা directly sell product imported from China, whereas local e-commerce companies are actually much more focused on local manufacturers. So এই জায়গাটাতে কিন্তু একটা এমপ্লয়মেন্ট জেনারেশন, এন্টারপ্রেনারশিপ পার্সপেক্টিভের এবং আলটিমেটলি কনজিউমারের বেনিফিটের একটা ব্যাপার আছে। আমি জাস্ট শুধু সংক্ষেপে উদাহরণ শেষ করি। You take the case of Bangladesh pharmaceutical industry. It has been very protected for last 20 years. এবং আর্লি স্টেজে কিন্তু বাংলাদেশের কনজিউমাররা সাফার্ড এ লিটল বিট, তারা কিন্তু অনেক ওষুধ হয়তো বাইরে থেকে আনতে পারেনি। বাট after 20 years or 30 years, what you can see now, Bangladesh companies, pharmaceutical companies are now actually exporting even COVID drugs for the world. And this actually is a result of that some kind of protectionism that was supported by the policymakers. So there is no right or wrong answer. So this debate will continue, but our position is we need some kind of level playing field or protection from the onslaught of this global companies who have got huge amount of billions dollars of budget. And what they normally do in e-commerce across the country, across the region, is to first kill the local small entrepreneurs first, and then they actually do. There is a typical case of digital colonization.
Right. So thank you everybody, and very effective, I think very effective discussions. We learn from each other through the discussion. Thanks Financial Express, and thanks audience for your patient sharing. And now I give floor to Tanjib for closing the session. Tanjib, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We know that it was a weekday. Everyone had a busy day, and then they provided time for this session. We express our sincerest gratitude on behalf of Financial Express to all the panelists and the distinguished moderator for moderating the session. Thank you, everyone. We are going to end this session now. Thank you.